Hello, my name's Rob, and this is Rob's Fly Tying. I'm going to tie some loom flies for you today. These are predominantly river flies. The hooks are totally detached. You can see there a couple of hoppers and some mayflies. They work brilliantly on the Y and the Esk, and they also work well on still waters as well. Yeah, hope you enjoy it. Thank you. This is a vise for tying traditional flies, but the fly I'm going to tie today, as I said, is on a loom, which is this, which is homemade, and that's the first and most important bit of kit I'm going to need, because it's tied on that. Then I'll be using that as the main core of the fly, which is 4 pound Maxima, scissors, wing burners, a lighter, the hooks, size 18 barbed up-eye B440 Camazan hooks. They're ideal for the way they hang off the fly. Some polyester thread, which is basically waterproof. For today's fly is black and white. Some feathers to make the wing. Pair of hackle pliers I should say. Pair of scissors. A hackle from a cape, and that will be part of the fly at the front, forming the hackle. Some fibbits which I use for the tail. They're man-made, but you can use natural, like boar bristles and stuff like that, but these are actually man-made. This tool I use for holding the tail fibbits at the end down when I'm whipping off the fly, because sometimes when you're whipping the fly off, the tail fibbits can get caught in the tie-in, so this helps prevent that. So it's a tool that people use to display their flies with on a stand. That usually goes in the stand like that piece there, but I use it for the purposes of tying these loom flies. And some CDC feathers, which I'll use to dub the fly, which will help it float and make part of the body, part of the thorax. And that's it. This is the loom. Slightly closer inspection. That's the spring where you attach your core, which is the monofilament. You put your 2 loops over the end of that. You got razor cuts from a razor knife here and here, where you slot your threads over your tag ends, and your main body of the fly runs between those two. And when you get to the body stage, that's where you perform your weave. The pot's weave is called, which you'll see on the video of me tying it. So that's basically the loom. Then you have to stretch part of your body structure over this side, so you've got an inside bit and an outside bit, which is to do with tightening the hook. Yeah, so basically that's the loom. It's just a basic wood construction. Okay, that's that. This is a daddy long legs, and I'm going to use it just to show you where you tie the main line when you're using the fly. You don't actually attach it to the hook, that's totally uncompromised, and it hangs loose in the style of a Rapala knot. The 2 little hoops you see at the front there are where you attach the main line, and this style of fly is better to fish, I feel, than the traditional type, because you get less false takes. The hook sets really quick because it's so loose. Yeah, and that's basically it, and that's a daddy long legs. Right, this is what I'm going to tie: a black and white mayfly with an olive hackle. Yeah, so let's get on with it. Right, here we are then. Cut the core of the fly, which is this 4-pound maxima. Span your loom, and you've got to do a particular knot to make the 2 little loops at the front. Put that over the spring at the front. Make the loop about that big and tighten with the right hand. That goes over there. Put the tag end through the 2 loops. Pull that over into the middle slot. Take your other tag end, make an overhand knot, leave it there for a second. Get your hackle and you put that through in between the 2 lines which form the core. Tighten, and then you do another overhand loop which will incorporate the end of that feather. You'll see it poke up as I tighten. That piece there, which we now have to cut off. Put that there to hold your material. You cut that little tag end off there. Next thing is the hook. Size 18 hook, up high. Get your middle line, which forms your core of the fly. And feed that through the eye of your hook. Pull it down. Hit the centre. Do the same again. Put that over that side, and then you've got to pull that over the back to tighten your hook a bit. And then you use your other tag end to tighten that in there. Next part is the wing, so you do another overhand loop there, and then you select your wing, which will be 2 of these feathers here. Try and make them around about the same size, not that it matters because you've got to burn them anyway. 1, 2, and then same with the other one. That's waste. And you get your 2 feathers and you put them together back to back. Match them as best you can be a bit fiddly. Get your wing burners. To make it even. So then you get your 2 feathers that are going to form the wing. Pass them through the middle of the main core of the fly, the monofilament. Pull that knot there reasonably tight. You pull that centerpiece over the center there. We just go underneath there. Then you incorporate all that with your other tag end, including bringing the 2 stalks of the wing underneath, so it's all tied in like that. Pull, those 2 stalks up there, and then you get your hackle pliers. And form your hackle. And you incorporate the stalks of the wing feathers in your wraps, which keeps the fly all together. Cut those bits off there. Drop the rest down the middle in between the 3 ropes and push the hackle up, and now we incorporate. Okay, I'm now up to the dubbing stage of the fly, which I'm using CDC. So I've taken some fibres off of the CDC feather. I'm going to form a little bit of a bunch like that. Not too much. And then feed it in between the body fibres there. And then with an overhand knot again, incorporate it. So I've just put the dubbing in and tightened the knot. So now I'm going to turn the loom sideways like that, and incorporate the thread which will form the woven body. So I have to tie a knot in the two bits. The lengths are about 1.5 to 2 foot long. Cut off the two spools, black and white. So that's the body material which will be woven. So that goes on that far slot across, and then this is tightened down with an overhand knot. To the body. Something I should have done earlier was cut the waist of the hackle off with the hackle pliers on, which I'll do now. So that's out the way. And also I don't need this tag end anymore. I can cut that off as well. And that's waste. So now I've got to do the first part of the woven body. So over the top, round and underneath, tighten to the body to make your first part. Bring the other tag end that's still on over, so you're incorporating it in the loom, in the weave. Dark over the top, light underneath, and tighten. And that's the first part of your weave done. Now we've got to incorporate the tail in the body of the fly. So dark over the top, light underneath. Then I get 3 of these tail fibbits, and with a lighter I actually burn them and they connect. So that's going to form the tail. You put that in between the threads that make the body, and tighten down your next part here. Weave. Pull the tail down to the length you think you want it, and then tighten. Then you do the next part of the weave, which is another weave, another knot. It's actually called the pot's weave, this is. And then you make sure you incorporate the tail, and you bring the top thread over the top of the tail, and that should bring the tail down like so. And then do another weave, dark over the top, light underneath. Make sure, because the tail's underneath now, you bring the lighter coloured thread underneath it. All the time the tail's running through the middle of the body. And then you just carry on. Dark over the top, light underneath, making sure that you keep the tail in the middle of the body. And while I'm at it, I can cut the waist of the tail for bits off which are underneath. And then carry on with the body. Dark over the top, light underneath. Going until you think the body is in the right proportion to the fly. A particular feather I've used for the wing hasn't really stayed where I'd like it to, but never mind. It's still fish. Don't look as good as it should do because the feather fibres have split a little bit. Right, keep going. This is the last knot for the woven body now. I think that looks pretty much in proportion. You can do it as much as you like, as long or as short as you like, but I tend to find that is about right looking at it. I don't generally count the amount of knots I do, I just look at it, turn it round and see what it looks like from the other side. So that looks okay, so what I'm going to do now is tie it off. And what we need to do that, threads down with it. So that's tied off now. So now what I need to do is leave enough to do the wraps for me whip finish, tag end with a piece cut off, and the piece I've cut off I'm going to use to make my pull through for my whip. Okay, so that's the finished fly. It's alright. It's not one of my best ones, but it's good enough. You can see the three tails, three bits. The body, the wing could be with doing a little bit tidier, but sometimes that's how the wing comes out. But you can see the hook hanging there. There are your two loops you put the fly through. That'll float a treat on a river, and it catches brown trout a treat as well as rainbows. Yeah, it's a good little process. Your hook hangs totally free, as with a Rapala knot, and it does aid with good takes. So there you go. That's like an olive mayfly. Yeah, just an example of some of the flies. There's a hopper, a daddy longlegs, and two mayflies. I can tie them in different colours and different sizes, but those are the basic flies that I tie on the loom. They're all dry flies, and they're basically river flies. Yeah, they all work a treat. Totally unique and different way of tying a fly, totally separated from the hook, and it originates from an Italian guy called Cerenzo, who invented the fly. Yeah, takes a bit of learning, but lovely little flies. They work a treat on the river and the still waters. There you go. So that's it then. That's the loom fly. If you like it, then just let me know. But I'll do another one when I get to my 1000th response. Yeah, and I am joking. But thank you very much for watching.